My wife asked me for an open relationship. After her first date, I was going to leave her. Now she says we should swing so that I'm not left out. I, Seth 27M, have been married to my wife, Madison 26F, for 2 years. We have been together for 4 years. I wouldn't say anything about our relationship had been extraordinary in the grand scheme of things. We met through a mutual friend and just clicked. We dated for like 18 months, then moved in together and got engaged. We had a typical small wedding 6 months later. For the first 2 years of our marriage, everything seemed fine. We have both been focused on our careers and are doing pretty well. We still make time for each other and go on dates often. 4 or 5 months ago, she landed a managerial position in her field at a different company. 1 week later, she asked me for an open relationship. I was completely blindsided by that. We have never talked about anything like that before. When I asked where this was coming from, she talked about some married coworker named Abigail that is in an open relationship. Madison and her have been talking about this since her 3rd day working there. She starts trying to sell me on this with all these bullet points. Bring us closer together, new experiences, take our sex life to the max, meet new people, etc., etc., etc. On initial approach, I was completely against this. I still am, yet I find myself in this stupid situation. When I first rejected it, she just accepted that and we moved on with our night. She didn't stop though. She brought it up again and again. In addition to just casual mentionings, she also began sending me stories out of our /non-monogamy and open marriage. These were all cherry-picked stories, and when I started exploring the subs on my own and sending back horror stories, she stopped doing this and said, we shouldn't be basing our marriage adventure on someone else. She also became super wife, picking up my favorite snacks, doing more housework, trying to initiate sex all the time. I enjoyed that, but at the same time, it's not as much fun when you know there is an ulterior motive. I've been asking her if there is someone she has in mind. She swears there is not, even getting angry the last time I asked. I don't really believe her. I know her new job has quite a few guys that work there. The company is also known for recruiting heavily out of the colleges, so it's likely a lot of guys right in our age bracket. Yet, she keeps pushing the same narrative of bringing us closer together and having new experiences. I can kind of see the latter point. I am only her second boyfriend. She was in a 6-year relationship prior to our meeting and had only been out of it for 3 weeks when we met. I'm slightly more experienced than her being my 3rd girlfriend and 6th sexual partner. 2 months ago, she managed to break me. I had stayed pretty steadfast in that I was apprehensive towards doing anything like this. The whole time from the initial approach until that 2-month mark, she was really sweet and understanding, but also pushy. On this day, she went ultimatum. I said, I don't think I'll ever be ready to share you with others. She responded by saying, maybe we should take some time apart. That was like a jab in the face. Are you serious? She looked sad and had a tear forming in one eye. Yeah, I just feel confined. I understand you don't want this, but I think I need to experience things. Maybe it isn't for us, but I want to try. And it seems you don't, so I guess we are at an impasse. I asked, you want a divorce? Am I just not enough for you anymore? She softened. Never about you not being enough. I just want to be open to having experiences, meeting people, and not being bound by arbitrary rules and social norms. I don't want a divorce. I want you. I just feel like I need to explore this. And you don't want to. So maybe we should just take some time apart, not divorce, and see how we feel after a month or 2. This is where I caved and ended up in the position I am now. I will give it a try. She immediately perked up, but can we take things slow? Can we come up with some basic rules? Madison clearly excited, but trying to downplay. Yes, we can just take our time. Thank you. I really think this will be a good thing in the long term. She then initiated sex, which I totally went along with. A few hours ago, we had dinner with a couple we are supposed to swing with. I spent most of the dinner making small talk with Kara, a very attractive 21-year-old. She is very much my type physically, but this feels so weird. Madison and Kara's boyfriend Leland, who were co-workers by the way, were flirting and talking like this is second nature. I can't help but wonder if this was Madison's plan all along. He's a good-looking guy, so am I, but this all seems too convenient. Kara and I, however, seem a lot more apprehensive. She seems sweet, but there is definitely an awkwardness between us. Madison told me this couple wanted to swing with us because we're all new to this. I have this feeling something is up, though, between my wife and this other guy. When I caved and told Madison we could try an open relationship, and that I'd like to take it really slow, she took that to mean like waiting until the next day was slow enough. I figured we would really talk about rules, read some books on yin ethical non-monogamy, and take things one step at a time. I got up the morning after I agreed a little later than usual. Madison had gotten up quite a bit earlier than usual. She had made us both Tinder profiles. Like really had put a lot of effort into both of them. I tried to tell her this was too fast, but she countered saying, it's just being ready for when we are ready. It could take months for either of us to match with anyone. We can take things slow, but now this part is done, and we can start making matches while we figure this out. I accepted that response. However, within 24 hours, she had about 20 matches. That number just kept growing and growing as the days went by. We would try to talk about how we wanted this to go, but she was also distracted by all the activity on her phone. Within 4 days, she was already messaging directly with a few guys. 3 weeks later, she had her first date set up. We had talked about the rules and boundaries we were going to have. She had agreed to all of them, although some of them only begrudgingly. First was the obvious one: use protection at all times. We also had a few more boundaries, though, like not being physical with anyone on the first date, being home by an agreed-upon time, or updating the other on changes. Giving each other details on our dates, like location, who the other person was. This was for safety, and making our relationship a priority. This meant no canceling plans with each other for time with others. A lot of these boundaries went out the window on her first date. We had only been open 3 weeks at this point. She went out and said she would be back by 11 p.m. She came home at 12:30 a.m. I was still up. I was pretty upset at the time. She had not so much as sent a text. She clearly had done something with this guy. She was trying to come on to me, but I was rejecting it. I was done at this point and told her that she was way later than she said. There was no communication at all, and I had no doubt she messed around with this guy. She didn't try to hide it, just kept giving me the excuse that things escalated and she got caught up in the moment. She promised to do better next time, and that now that she knows she can get excited, she will have a plan for managing that. Then she tried to get me to reclaim her. I was not interested and told her so. That's when she got pissed and told me she was getting in the shower. I slept on the couch that night. The next morning, I decided I was out. I went into our bedroom and was packing a bag. She woke up to this and asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm leaving. She seemed alarmed and asked, where are you going? What do you mean you're leaving? I told her, I'm done. I'm going to my sister's. I'm not going to sit here around the house forever while you're out dating. You put me onto those subs to convince me. Well, I read a lot more than just what you wanted me to. Here's the reality of most of those stories, and I'm sure this would be my reality as well. You'll sort through tons of matches and pick and choose who you want. I'll go months, maybe years without a match, then eventually we will divorce once the resentment gets too high. I'm just cutting to the end now. She interjected, you had the one match. I angrily replied, we both know that was a bot. She jumped up then and put her hands on me. Okay, I'm sorry, you are right, we were going too fast. Please don't go. We can work this out. We can find a balance that works for both of us. You're upset right now. Let's calm down and really talk about this. I'm sorry. Nothing like last night will happen again. Trust me. We can work through this. I caved again at that point. I cave a lot. We talked later that day. It was finally the deep conversation we needed to have before we did anything. The conversation she was too distracted to have the first time. It's also the one that led to today. Going to dinner with Madison and another couple, having a vibe check. Dinner was fine. Madison and Leland vibed for sure, which I found pretty annoying. I did my best to act normal. I think Kara was doing the same thing. As the night went on, and it appeared like our significant others were way more infatuated with each other, Kara and I started talking a little bit about the elephant in the room. While neither of us just came out and said it, I think the real vibe here is that neither of us necessarily wanted this, and now we're just along for the ride. At least that's how it seemed to me. Before we parted ways, we traded numbers. I think I'll try texting her tomorrow just to see how much of this is actually her idea. I only have another day. We're supposed to go over to Abigail's house Saturday night for a play party, which again makes me feel like we're rushing into this. We have never done this before, but apparently we're going to join 10 other couples at a swinger party. Madison keeps assuring me it's not what I'm thinking and I don't have to do anything I don't want to. but we should go and see what it's like. She says we're just going to see if this is something we want. And if so, we can go ahead with Leland and Kara. I guess I'm going. I'm just stupid enough to keep this failed train rolling. I'm also thinking Kara is really hot, and if Madison keeps pissing me off and fucking around, I may just say fuck it and find out. My wife pressured me into swinging so she could cheat. Now I'm divorcing her and want to date the woman she paired me off with. My Seth 27M wife, Madison 26F, of 2 years pressured me into an open relationship. That itself almost ended our marriage. Instead of doing damage control on our relationship, she tried to switch us to swinging so she could still sleep with her coworker, Leland 27M. Well, we did that, and apparently myself and Leland's now ex-girlfriend Kara, 21F, didn't do it right. This caused a huge argument between Madison and I. I went into this argument determined to get the truth out of her one way or another, but that proved to be way easier than I thought it would. She was so pissed off that she just spouted off everything in her anger. Like it was my fault. As I listened to Madison go on and on about what I should have done, I realized all of this was just about her living out whatever fantasy she had created in her head. In her mind, I was also supposed to be focused on her while she was fucking Leland. I'm still having a hard time wrapping my mind around how she really saw that going. These two wanted to fuck each other and didn't want to risk their situations to do so. They didn't want Kara and I to take to each other. They thought that we wouldn't have it in us to just go with it. All I was a roadblock. She didn't want to give me up, but also wanted to fuck around. Essentially, what she really wanted was a one-sided open relationship. She just couldn't pull it off, and when I got my first taste, she also couldn't handle that. I knew as she ranted that this marriage was done. I never asked for all this yin stuff. She did. Well, she got what she wished for. Hope it was worth it. I told her I was divorcing her, left that night, and got myself a hotel room for a few days. I also sent a text to Kara to check in on her. She was having a huge fight with Leland that ended with her breaking up with him and leaving their apartment. She's getting off a little bit easier than I am. She was not on that lease, as she had moved in with him just months earlier. They weren't married. I am. I talked to a divorce lawyer on Monday, just 2 days after the fallout. She told me she could have papers drawn and served this very week. I've got some savings and intend to break our lease and find my own place. Kara ended up staying with me for the 3 days I stayed in the hotel. I can't deny that I am really smitten with her. We spent those 3 days getting to know each other, and I swear I could have talked with her for another 3 days straight. The passion was there too. It wasn't just the overall mood from the party. We couldn't keep our hands off each other. After 3 days, I returned to my apartment just to get some stuff. I'll stay with my sister for now. I got a lead on an apartment of my own, but it won't be ready until next weekend. Madison wasn't there when I went to get my stuff and has not texted me. This is typical behavior, as the cold shoulder is her go-to. It used to drive me crazy, but now I'm thankful for it. It's Friday night. I got word that the divorce papers were served to her today. My lawyer told me she didn't even react. I'm sure she wasn't surprised. It should be easy. We rented, each had our own bank accounts, no kids, and this is a no-fault state. I keep feeling like I should be sad or angry, but I just feel relieved. The last few months have been way too hard. I love her, but what she put me through wasn't fair, and I harbor resentment. I've been texting with Kara pretty much nonstop since she went to her parents' house on Wednesday. I asked her out on a real date for tonight, but she couldn't because of a family thing. We have one planned for tomorrow. I feel like a teenager. I'm so nervous, which makes no sense considering we've had sex several times already. It's just too much time to think. I'm obsessing about where I should take her, what I should wear, should I get a haircut during the day tomorrow. It just feels different, even different than when Madison and I started dating. Anyway, that's the update. It's been a weird few months, an even weirder week. I think it's going my way, though. The pain of my marriage has been replaced by excitement for the new. It may just be NRE talking, but at this point I don't think I have anything to lose by letting it ride. I was recently hired to a new position. As it turns out, I am now the direct boss to my ex-wife's affair partner. I, Seth 30M, started a new job about 6 months ago. I switched companies to become this new one's director of projects. Huge pay increase for me. At the time, they actually needed both a director and an assistant director. I was really excited about the position. On the first day, I met early with the VP. Along with the assistant director, were going to be introduced to our team today. I had arrived first and was chatting with the VP when the AD arrived. Much to my surprise, it was Leland, 30M, the guy my ex-wife cheated with. He looked more shocked than I did, I'm sure. Kind of funny now thinking back to how big his eyes got when he saw me. The VP was noticeably confused, but we played it off. The rest of the day went on as normal. Tense, but normal. At the end of the day, Leland approached me wanting to talk. I told him sternly, I don't need you to say anything. I don't want to hear from you on anything other than work. I don't know how you managed to get this position, but you better do your job and do it well, because I will be making sure everything is perfect. I then turned and walked away. He stopped me and said, I am qualified for this position. I know you think I'm just a piece of shit. And I was. I'm sorry for all that, but I'll show you. I'm worthy of this chance. I began walking away, and he yelled one more thing. Also, I left Madison. I didn't believe him one bit. Why would I? This guy wrecked my marriage. Well, in the 6 months we have been working together, he has actually been really valuable. He knows his stuff, and he always comes through before deadline. I only talk with him about work and kind of give the cold shoulder to anything else. He is friendly but professional and respectful with me and the other staff members. He has not once since that first day brought up Kara or Madison. Anyway, I'm starting to feel bad. I do talk more personally with the other staff. Simple stuff like asking how their weekend was or how the kids are doing. I don't ask him about anything other than work. Some of the staff will go out on Fridays, and I started to notice that he was never invited. I decided to ask the young, no filter intern why, and he told me, first off, everyone loves you, especially compared to the last guy. Alina, picked up on you not liking him. Got to be a reason for that, so we all keep our distance. Well, fuck, he's getting exiled because of me, which really isn't fair. Our past aside, he is really valuable to the team and hasn't done anything to warrant exclusion from the others. So I started being more personable with him over the past few months, asking how he's doing, how the weekend was. We started talking sports, which led to talking other stuff. We have a lot in common, actually. I still don't like him very much because of our history, but sometimes I feel like Ricky Bobby in that movie after Cal moves into his house, like, why am I still talking to you? Anyway, that gave everyone the okay to be friendlier with him, and I heard him get invited to a poker night the other day, so I guess mission accomplished. That brings us to now. I have to evaluate the employees in my department. Within that, I can also recommend for termination, renewal, or transfer to another department. There is another assistant director spot within the company that is open, and with my recommendation, I'm sure the transfer would get accepted. He would make the same. It's a straight parallel move. He's been a great asset to the team. I'm just not sure about continuing this long term. Edit. Okay, everyone, I got it. You read back through my previous stuff and want an update on what happened with Kara. We were good. The relationship was fun and exciting. However, when we got to around the 7-month mark, we both started to change. I began to become more insecure about her. I have no doubt this stems from the trauma I suffered in my marriage. It was a me problem. I was a little suffocating, and I had a lot of anxiety when she was on her phone or going out without me. This led to me being a bit passive-aggressive. I owned it then, and we talked about it a lot. At the same time, she was nearing her graduation and getting her BSN. She was only 21 when we got together and had been mostly in long-term relationships. She had just gotten out of a very controlling one with Leland when we started together. After that relationship, she often told me she felt way more confident about herself. I could tell she was changing into a much stronger and more independent person. A person who wanted to go and discover herself to the fullest extent. I sought out therapy as I had never processed my failed marriage. She sought out independence. Ultimately, we made a decision together to end things. It was very amicable. We remained friends. I was invited to her family graduation party and had a nice time, and while slightly awkward, the weirdness was minimal. We still talk some through social media, but each have our own lives going. Sorry, not much to the story. I think if it were a few years from now and we were meeting, it may have led to more, but for where we both were in life, it was just a matter of right person, wrong time. Maybe someday we will reconnect. You never know, though I'm not holding my breath as I have seen that she has been seeing someone else.